Hello, and welcome to another indie review. Quick disclaimer here. A lot of the books I'm given to review are either weeks and weeks ahead of publication or months and months after. And so a lot of the time, I don't necessarily rush to get it in by any certain time. And I didn't rush to get this book in on time. But it just so happens, if you're watching this on the day it was uploaded, it's a book birthday! And that book is The Revenants by Mary Hallberg. This is a horror novella I was sent by the author, as you can tell by the lovely not for resale bar right there. I wear those kind of things as a point of pride. Anytime the ARC sticker, that's pride. Anyway, this is a horror novella revolving around four teenagers, well, three teenagers and a college kid, that decide it would be a great idea to spend their last summer after their senior year breaking into the old abandoned chemical plant that may be haunted. Smart. This was pretty by the numbers for the most part. This wasn't redefining the genre, but I did really enjoy it. One of the things I enjoyed probably the most was it gave the most realistic excuse for these kids to be breaking into this place. Because for me, the whole, oh, they were dared or it's a rite of passage thing is kind of whatever. I've never lived in a town, and I've lived in a lot of towns, that had anything like that. But the reasoning here is that the one of the characters, the college-age kid who is an older brother of the main character's best friend, figure that out, goes into creepy places and makes movies for his YouTube channel. And that is the most realistic reason for a bunch of teenagers / a 20-something to break into one of these places. Now, as you can gather from the cover, things go wrong. They take a little bit to go wrong. The kids break in during the day and they get creepy graffiti messages that says they come out at night. You never really figure out who left those graffiti messages because the chemical spill that happened and all the fallout has been put pretty close under wraps, and no one really knows the Revenants are actually a thing. So I'm like, who was leaving those graffiti messages? Or is it just like one of those plot conveniences where to build up the spookiness? But I did enjoy the spookiness. The main cast, the four characters, Will, his crush Piper, his best friend Fisher, and Fisher's older brother Cam, do not make good decisions at all. And of course, that's kind of necessary for horror. But in this case, without giving too much away, there was one decision in particular where I was like, there's really no reason you needed to make that beyond to move the plot forward, in which they were at a place and safe from the creatures. Everything, well, wasn't going fine, but like there was no immediate danger in this place they were at. And they're like, oh, well, we need to leave this place because reasons. And we need to go back out there for reasons. And it was, of course, ended badly. And it's like, I can understand poor decision making in light of fear and terror and your adrenaline pumping and things not working right. But when there's like a quiet moment and you're safe and you voluntarily choose to leave that safety, like that doesn't make any sense. That was the one part where it's like, wow, they just need to leave to move the plot forward. The reasoning or I guess the whole plot behind what created the Revenants in the first place was pretty standard for horror novels, horror movies, etc. Like I mentioned, this does not necessarily reinvent the wheel or redefine the genre in any way, but it is very atmospheric. It is very spooky. It takes a little bit to lead up. This copy I have is 190 pages. The Kindle, I believe, is 96, but either way, it was over halfway through by the time the real horror hit, which is about what I expected. And fortunately, because it's a novella and because of the way it's written, it moves pretty quickly. I really enjoyed the writing style. It was very clean and to the point and action oriented. It gave you enough description to tell you, hey, it's a spooky place, but not necessarily so overbearing that like, yeah, we get it. It's dark and creepy. I really loved that probably more than anything else. The characters, specifically the relationship between Will and his crush Piper, was particularly adorable. And despite all of their super stupid decisions, none of them was so annoying that I was like, yeah, you're going to die and I don't care. Which happens a lot in horror movies. If you've watched a lot of those where like you can pick out, oh, that's a douchebag who's going to die and I don't even care already. I know you're dead and I still don't care. And there wasn't that in this one, which I love when there's likable characters in horror because it actually ups the terror. Like if I've already decided that you're zombie fodder because you're annoying me, well then there's not really a lot of scare. I don't necessarily want that character to live. So yeah, awesome. But when I like the character, it was like, no, run, you poor little plot babies, run. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more spooky. The best part of all of it, though, for me, was the very, 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 very end. Without giving too much away, obviously, it had one of my favorite kind of, well, horror movie or horror story endings that I liked. A nice little turn there. So I really appreciated that. This technically is YA horror, but it's hard to tell when something is YA horror because horror relies so heavily on teenagers to begin with that, like, this could be up with any other horror story. Like, nothing about it particularly felt YA-y. Like, nothing jumped out at me as being, this is separate from other horror media because it's YA, as in, there wasn't that much emphasis. Again, Will and Piper were probably my favorite. Piper I liked because she was different enough to be intriguing, but not a total manic pixie dream girl. She loved plants, and her knowledge of plants came in to play a couple times. And also, without going into too much detail, because it's a kind of a reveal, the Revenants, these characters, have a next level to them. How do I not spoil this? They're different enough from your run-of-the-mill zombie in one specific way that made them stand out from normal zombie fiction, if that makes any sense. And I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of a, like, 3/4 of the way through reveal, and I don't want to give it away, but I really appreciated that. It's a different take on zombies that I hadn't seen before, or they never, I guess I almost always refer to them as revenants. Not zombies, but like zombies. So I overall very much enjoyed this. I would definitely suggest it for anyone that is a horror fan. I gave this book 4 stars purely because, again, it didn't really redefine anything, but what it did well. Given that you're okay with horror protagonists making stupid decisions, which that in itself is probably more of like an artistic debate than anything, because, you know, the stupid decisions is what leads to the horror, which is the point of the book. So, like, ends justify the means? I don't know. But anyway, this came out on the day this video is uploaded. It is the book birthday, so please go check it out. It was a very nice read, especially if you want to do any sort of readathon in October, or you're just looking for a spooky October read this year. This won't take you more than a couple days. I mean, I read this in 1 day, but I'm also doing a readathon right now, so like, it behooved me to finish a book in a day. But you could finish this in 2 days, taking you next to no time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit rambly, but I really wanted to get this up in time for the book birthday. So happy book birthday, Mary Hallberg, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.